Hi, this is Jay from Thinking Out Loud, and this is our guest this week, JD Greene. Can you?
Thank you, buddy.
It's an honor to have you here.
I'm honored to be here, man. I got to tell you, I'm glad I got the right house, and
Yeah.
this is such a cool setup that you guys have. This lady right here next to you, she's really cool.
She is cool.
I know that you're the interviewee, but I mean, I've got questions too. Like, whose idea was this whole podcast, and who came up with the name Thinking Out Loud and all that? But this is your show, man. This is your podcast.
My first question is, can you please tell me a little bit about yourself and who you are?
Well, gosh.
he's gonna make it awkward and right to the point.
First and foremost, above all things, I'm a dad. My little girl Lily just turned 9 years old, and my universe revolves around her over all things. She's just incredible. Sherilyn and I have been together for almost 20 years.
Wow.
And yes, I'm a very busy guy, and I prefer being busy, and I run around and do a lot of things during the day, but I start my day every morning for the last 5 years now doing a podcast.
Nice. It's hard to believe it's been 5 years. Can you tell me a little bit more about your podcast?
So, as you know, Jay, I've been in radio broadcasting for a very long time.
Yes.
Too long. And I decided, for a few different reasons, which I can get into, or I can save for another episode, but I decided to get out of radio and to start a podcast. The trend was something that was really starting to pick up. A lot of popular, famous names were starting to create podcasts, like Joe Rogan, and the list went on from there. And there was a shift. There were more and more people were listening to podcasts than ever before. And I said, now's the time. This is something that I can do that's not terrestrial. It's not regulated by the FCC. I can say anything I want. I can I could just let go, uncensored, unedited, and just go any direction I want to go. And not have a boss telling me what I can't say.
You can even drop the F-bomb.
You can drop and I do. I mean,
and you can hear
you know why though? Because here's the thing. It's a lot of people like podcasting because of its authenticity. It's a mirror of real life. Like, if I was out at a bar or a restaurant or with a couple of friends, we're walking down the road, whatever it is, the language that we're using, the dialogue that we're having, is something that podcasters are bringing to the microphones as real life, real conversation.
And I love it that way.
Yeah, it's the best. And there's no time constraints.
I know.
Yeah, and I think it makes it enjoyable for the viewers because it feels like they're more real.
Yeah.
If they're just if they may cuss or just kind of be real on the live, it's just so much nicer when you're listening to a podcast where it doesn't seem so formatted and just cut and dry. It's personable.
Yeah.
Which makes it nice. Yeah.
Right. And I'm aware of I know this can be heartbreaking, but what really connected me to you is you used to tell stories about Buddy. Can you please tell me more about him?
So, as you know, Jay, Buddy was my dog that I had for 16 years, that I had quite a relationship with, and we did everything together, as you know. And he was, this was before I became a dad. So Buddy was really he was my kid.
Right.
I mean, he meant everything to me. So we did everything together. We went everywhere together. And I used to love sharing the stories of our experiences with listeners who could relate to it.
Right.
Funny stories, a lot of funny stories, but also some pretty serious stories too, of different things that we had gone through, and the things that a dog can teach a human. We can learn more from animals sometimes than we can learn from other humans. And I think that was the biggest takeaway with Buddy, at least of how I conveyed it on the air. And you really gravitated to that and related to that.
Right. And which brings me to which come to another question. You used to write articles for a local newspaper called the Times Argus about it called Beyond the Dog. Do you still do those articles?
So I have to say, first off, your memory is rock solid. You don't forget anything, and you remember details very well. It's startling to me because my memory is not that good. I started writing a book called Beyond the Dog, which was kind of memoirs of my life with Buddy. And the Times Argus started running chapters from that book that I was writing as a Sunday column called Beyond the Dog, the name of the book. And that went for quite a while. That went for maybe 5 years, somewhere in that ballpark.
Wow.
And I loved it. The bottom line on that, we won't hang out too much on that subject, but the bottom line is that my parents got very old, and their health declined very quickly. And my dad moved in with me, and I had my hands more than full with I had a 2-year-old little girl at home.
No.
And an 85-year-old dad with a whole heap of health issues. So my creative faucet kind of backed off and kind of shut off a little bit, because my head was full with other priorities. So I respectfully kind of paused on my writing. I do intend to pick that back up at some point and finish that book. I've got all the stories. I just need to get them down.
Do you have a website for that you would like to share with the?
So the website is also in pause mode right now. So it's actually not up and running, but it will be at some point. When I finish this book, you'll be one of the first to know about it.
All right. Thank you. And do you have any questions, Amy?
I just want to know how long you've been in publication. Like, how long have you been doing radio, TV, whatever it is that you've gone through in your lifetime? Like, when did you start? When did you know that that was what you wanted to do?
So never TV. I hate cameras. That's why I got into radio. Why am I podcasting with a video camera? I have no idea. But it's, yes. I started in radio in 1989. Wow. And I got out of radio in 2018. So I don't know how many years that is, but it's a long time. And radio is radio's wonderful. I learned an awful lot. One of the biggest things that I loved so much about radio was being able to connect with people without them seeing me. Yeah. So there's, just like you and I did. Yes. So you have your own theater of the mind of what it is that I'm creating for you, or what I look like, or what my facial expressions look like. That was really fascinating for radio. Yes. When you podcast and you bring a camera into it, you can't. Everything is transparent. Yeah. Everything. So, but there's also a lot of good in that, because when you're saying something, people can see Amy reacting or me reacting, right, and vice versa. So, right, and that brings me to, did we talk about air, or you, did we talk about air down? No. I have to say something. One thing that in one of my biggest inspirations of starting thinking out loud with Amy is you have a daily podcast called Aired Out. Can you tell us a little more about that? So Aired Out is the name of the podcast that I started on YouTube in 2017-ish. And it evolved into being live on YouTube and Facebook. And it's streamed on a whole bunch of different platforms, the audio version of it. Mm. It's right now, what it is it's a Monday through Friday morning show, almost kind of like a morning radio show, but with a camera. Right. And I love the fact that it's live, because a lot of things happen when you're live that people, frankly, remember. Things that were unexpected or whatever. Right, that I love to start my day with news, weather, sports. That's kind of the trifecta right there. But also entertainment. What's going on in Vermont? What's going on in the city where we are? What's going on in the state? What's going on in the nation? What's going on in the world? And let's be honest, I mean, there's a lot of bad stuff everywhere, right? Right in the backyard here. There's bad stuff. There's bad stuff in the state. There's bad stuff in the nation and in the world. But there's also lots of entertaining stuff. Yeah. And I love that stuff. I love to find, and Raylene is like this too. Loves to find the wacky stuff to talk about, the stuff that just makes people shake their heads. Is that really going on right now in the world? I know. So when are people really eating eggnog flavored ice cream, Jay? I know. Eggnog real flavored. Is that a real thing?
I got a topper of that. The YouTube that I saw the other day was a mom and son trying weird, wacky flavors. And do you know the two flavors that they were trying? What? Take a wild guess. Pepperoni. Ranch and macaroni and cheese.
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Oh yeah. No. Serve it up. I would love to have lobster flavored ice cream stuff. I love this kind of whacked out stuff. Here's the thing, Jay. You have to have fun. Yes. Because people want to be entertained. And look, There's plenty of bad news. All you got to do is turn your phone on every day. There's plenty of bad news everywhere.
Exactly.
But people want to hear the lighter stuff. But they also want to hear the kinds of things that are relatable. And that's probably one of the big things that we try to focus on our morning show is we'll talk about the news, the sports, the weather, all that stuff.
Yes.
We'll have a couple of laughs about some wacky things in the world, but we'll also try to be relatable to everyone. At some point, someone must be able to relate to what you're going through or what you heard or what Amy's experiencing right now. To get advice, to give advice, you got to be relatable. That's the only way you're going to connect with your audience.
You've talked about the weather, and with winter coming up, I personally thought about doing like the weather, like for like winter storms and stuff.
Yeah.
What are your tips?
So I think you asked me, should you take a weather course? So here's the thing. I think you absolutely should take a weather course. Frankly, if you did, I would be jealous because I love the weather. I love the weather. I love talking about the weather. You definitely should do that. Hands down. In addition to that, most of the basics that you can get, that you can learn from weather are right on a weather app. Roger Hill, who's here in Vermont, weatheringheights.com.net. I think it's .com. Wuthering Heights, absolute go-to website for you because he's a Vermonter. He's in Worcester. That's all he does for a living. He's kind of a mad scientist in his house. He's got his whole weather station. That guy you could learn so much from, and he is dialed in tight to what's going on with Vermont weather.
Maybe we should interview him.
Roger Hill?
That would be a really cool
Sure.
one.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a genius. But here's the thing, Jay, people get up in the morning before they've even gotten out of bed. What do they care most about?
Their phone and weather.
The weather.
Yes.
The weather. Do I need to leave early? Do I need to pick my kid up early from school? Is this going to be canceled? Do I need to allow extra time getting to work? What's the deal? Do I need to get a fire going in the wood stove or the road slick? Am I going to be shoveling, plowing, the bus running late? I mean, the list goes on and on. Right. Weather is so important to people. That's why I start every podcast with the weather. Mm. More importantly, I try hard when I get towards the middle of the podcast episode, I try to talk about the weather again for the people that may have missed the front side of the podcast, but they're tuned in now. Give them that weather again.
Speaking of the weather, what is this week's forecast?
Crap. So I think Thursday morning is supposed to be like nasty. Yeah. Well, kind of we're used to it in Vermont, right? I mean, right. We all know better. Get your snow tires on. Okay, buy some rock salt. Have that close by. All of that stuff. Get the right wind. Do you have summer windshield wipers on your? I mean, get the winter windshield wipers on there. We all know we've lived here long enough. But so Thursday, I think, is just kind of the first of the beginning of many slick mornings.
Yeah, I heard of sleet and freezing rain.
And check on your neighbors too when it's...
We say that all the time. We say that all the time. Not only the elderly, but the disabled. Make sure they're okay. Give them a quick phone call.
Correct.
Text them. Hit them up on Facebook. Say, you good?
I do it. I try all the time.
I'm sure you do.
I have a question. So how do you go about picking your guests for your podcast? Like, do you have Jay and I brainstorm and we write things down?
Same way.
That's the same way?
Same way.
Do you have people that come to you that say they want to be on?
Yes. And there's a lot. So there's kind of two sides of Aired Out. There's the morning show, which is Raylene and I but we also have lots of guests on either in person or by telephone. But then there's the other side of Aired Out, which is more intensive interview and not the morning show with the news, sports, and weather and goofing around and stuff. That's more intimate, one-on-one interview. Camera comes on, bang, we're right into the interview, kind of like what we're doing right now.
Right. Like no bullshit, just
do it. Exactly. Yes. So we're going to be doing, we have done both since the flood on July 10th. We've been more morning show based, but we have a list of guests that are going to be coming in to the new studio being built right now on North Main Street in Barrie, right across from Nelson's, and they'll be in January. Is going to be
You're hoping to be back in the studio.
You just mentioned the July 10th flood.
Yes.
In the studio. How did the flood affect Aired Out?
That's a huge question. First of all, the flood affected pretty much everyone and many, many businesses. Aired Out our studio was just one of many, many, many. We essentially lucked out mostly because Raylene was there in the building. I had left the building before, just an hour before the flood, I had left. And the flood happened so quickly, and I was trying to get back to the studio, and roads were washed away in a matter of minutes. Raylene was close enough where she could be in the building, and she was just grabbing equipment and unplugging stuff and shoving it in her pockets and running for the car as quickly as she could. So because of Raylene, we were able to salvage most of our equipment. We lost right around $1,500, maybe $2,000 worth of stuff.
What?
I'm going to pull you forward, buddy, because we're losing you. We're losing you on the camera here.
Sorry. What can our audience do to help with the damage? And B, as a fellow podcaster, what can we do to help Aired Out?
Exactly what we're doing right now. We're just talking about it. That's it. I think at some point when this new studio is complete, I need to return here and get you on my show with Amy and maybe B-Man if he's up for it. And the four of us will sit down and chew the fat on.
I would love it. Or the five of us.
Fine. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is it 5? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Really?
Oh, of course. Yes. Oh, of course. Of course. Absolutely. So, yes, I think so whose idea was this to do Thinking Out Loud?
It was kind of both of ours.
Okay.
Yeah, I had previously been in a relationship that we were going to start a music studio, and we were doing a podcast, and that relationship dissolved, but I really like doing podcasts. I have a YouTube channel for my cooking, and I do cooking on our Thinking Out Loud page.
Yes.
And basically just try to be in front of the camera as much as I can because I like it.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, boy, I'm really going to miss doing the podcast. And I really felt like Randolph has some pretty amazing people, and the surrounding towns have some pretty amazing people that have done some pretty amazing things.
Yes.
And maybe putting Randolph on the map would be a good thing by doing a podcast.
Yes.
And the very first person other than my child that I thought of was Jay.
Because
Jay is always on my Facebook Lives.
Yeah.
And always on my YouTube channel with
sure.
my cooking. And he will message me, Amy, what are you cooking today for dinner?
Yeah.
Or, hey, Amy, do you want to go get a Dunkin'?
Yeah.
When Jay wants Dunkin'.
And Jay pays attention. It's like he doesn't,
does.
you don't miss a beat, bud.
Thank you.
You catch everything. Nobody can sneak anything by you, bud.
No.
You not only do you catch it, but you remember it.
Well, we had this thing. He brought a guest to me last night and said, "What do you think about this?" And I said, it was somewhat of a religion based, and I said, don't know as I really want to go there. Like, I don't know as I really want to get into religion because it's so divided amongst so many people.
Sure.
And I hope that he understood that,
sure.
that what I was saying.
Sure.
But, you know, we sometimes aren't as pure hearted as Jay is.
Well said.
And I think that he is so instrumental in making this podcast, and I kind of let him just kind of freely do, and I kind of fill in the little blanks, or just be of the reassurance, because he's amazing. His questions, I mean, he sends me questions like 2 weeks ahead of time as to what he's going to ask.
So that inquisitive nature that you have, which is inert, it's just who you are. That's something that has and will continue to help you.
Thank you.
You know, the fact that you guys have a little bit of kitchen time in there, no matter what it is that you're cooking, you're at the farmer's market interviewing people. You're interviewing staples in our community like Raylene at the I'm trying to think. Sunshine.
And South Royalton.
These are all really important things that you're doing. Keep it fresh. Have different guests. I mean, sometimes, listen, religion and politics, man. It's like, and I try to steer clear, but there are some times when it's almost impossible to. We've had some, I say, some very strong faith-based folks that have been on Aired Out at a time when our community really needs a little bit of faith and a little bit of kick in the pants in the hope department. The flood is just one example. But, sometimes you got to brush against those things. And politics are, just as can be can combust quickly.
Yes.
And when people hear anything that has anything to do with politics or town related local politics, I had a guy, Michael Booton, who's a city councilor, who came to me when we moved on to North Main Street, and he's like, you got to have this guy on from this ward and from that ward, and you got to have they're trying to impose this new regulation and ordinance and blah blah blah. And I'm like, yes, important, great. Our local community for sure, but I'm staying away from that stuff. And if you want that guy or that subject matter discussed so badly, you start your own podcast here at my studio. And he did, and it's called The Barry Beat, and it has exploded. He has an audience that is really dialed into the local politics. That's what they want to talk about. That's what they want to hear. Do I think he's a little crazy for doing that? I do.
So, do you want to share where your studio is?
So our studio, since the flood, has been in Raylene's basement in Barrie. It was moved in there in a matter of a couple of hours.
Wow, crazy.
It is crazy. I mean, we're just running wires and plugging microphones in, and the camera shots are not perfect. The lighting is not perfect. The sound is not perfect. It's different. But it is what it is. And the most important thing is we were able to get the information that was so important out on the air.
Nice.
And that's more important than the clarity of the camera shot, the quality of the audio. Your community cares more about your content than anything else.
Yes.
Especially when something's going on in a particular town that's so significant, that's affecting so many people.
Sure.
They really want that realness too, and want to know that.
That's right.
I mean, they do, and they don't want to know that you're affected.
Absolutely true.
They want that realism, and I think that's what Jay and I are trying to do as well. We try to just keep it as real as we possibly can, and people, I just tell people, don't be scared or nervous.
Sure.
Just kind of just be you and just do
right.
what you usually do. And Jay makes it really easy too with people. Like, he has a very good dialogue with people, is able to come up with things off the cuff.
Yeah.
Which is really nice. And Brendan as well. Brendan was able to do that when we were doing something. I don't know if you saw our podcast on the bowling alley, but
I haven't seen that one yet.
That one was a great one, and with Karen Warner, and Brendan bowls for Special Olympics, so he really was very into it and asking questions and kind of just.
So I didn't see the one on with Karen Warner. However, what I did see and hear was you guys promoting it. You set it up very well. So, and that's so important that, even though I didn't see that particular episode, you promoted it well.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I didn't see it, I remember you did an interview with Karen Warner at the bowling alley, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
And that's important. If you're going to do something, pre-promote it. Right. Let everyone know it's coming up. If you did something, back promote it. Back sell it. Hey, if you missed the interview with Karen Warner at the bowling alley, go watch this.
That's a good idea too. I didn't even think about back doing it.
Pre and post, man. Too. It's
Speaking of pre-promote, is there any near upcoming guests for Aired Out that you would like to share with us?
I have several people that I'm looking forward to sitting down with and having some conversations with this winter. One of them is Kevin Ellis from WDEV. I'm hoping to get Joel Nashman on the air with me, and some other old radio guys, legendary radio guys, because capturing their legacy for all to see and hear is important while they're still here.
Nice. Have you interviewed Jumpin' Jim and
Lloyd? I haven't. Leapin' Lloyd?
Yeah.
Leapin' Lloyd's been on the air with me. Jim has not. But he's aware of the podcast.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. I agree with you. I think that was why our podcast with Raylene from Sunshine Thrift was so important for us. She's 80-something years old. She ran that thrift shop for the last 40 years.
That's it.
And I told you before, she never took a paycheck for it. And she's like the most beautiful soul out there. But
she's an icon.
Exactly. And it needed to be documented.
Absolutely.
In that way. Not that people were going to forget her, but it needed to be documented on film. For sure.
That's exactly what you're doing.
Yes.
Jimmy T. Jamie Lee Thurston's dad, who's a legend in Vermont, came on the air with me, and we had a great interview. I'll never forget it. And a short time later, he passed away. And still today. That was one of the first podcast episodes I had ever done, and still today, it's one of the most watched.
Speaking of Jimmy T and Raylene, they were both super seniors, and you interviewed Joe Carroll. How was that?
So I know you're a fan of Joe Carroll. Joe Carroll came on Aired Out. God, it seems like it was yesterday, but I think it was like 2 years ago.
Yes.
And it was a great interview. He's brilliant.
Yes, he is.
I mean, he knows what he's doing. And, we talk about capturing legacies for people. I mean, he's the epitome of that.
Yep.
Joe Carroll's amazing.
Did you see Debbie Boyce on Super Senior? I was on there with.
Gosh,
it was back in February.
Was she wearing red?
Yes.
Okay, yes, I did see that one then.
Yeah. I think Jay's gotten a couple people on Super Seniors. Raylene was on there, and Debbie. Yeah.
Well, I said to Joe Carroll, I said, JJ, and he was like, "Oh yeah." He knows
we reached
you.
out, and he's thinking about it. Yeah. He's thinking about coming and doing it for us, or we're gonna go there, or whatever.
Right.
So great.
Yeah.
You should.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah, it would make his day.
Have you lived in Vermont all your life?
No. I went to college in Vermont in the 80s, out of high school. And I was actually grew up in Connecticut, and I just wanted to. Who the hell wants to live in Connecticut, bud? I'm saying.
Right.
Who? Not me. I came up to Vermont, and I fell in love with the country up here and in the 80s, and I've basically been here since.
Wow. This might be taboo, but I'm just wondering, how old are you?
So Friday I turned 53.
Wow, congratulations.
Friday's my birthday. Yeah.
Happy birthday, JD Greene.
And I got a 9-year-old daughter, so you figure it out.
Well,
yeah.
I remember when Sherilyn was pregnant with her.
You do? Yes. Yeah. We always see you, buddy. We haven't seen you in a long time, but we used to see you quite regularly in the community.
Whenever I knew you were broadcasting live for Froggy.
Oh, yeah.
I was there.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember that one that we did up at the ice out, the floating bridge?
Yep.
Yeah.
My Aunt Kate brought me.
Was there? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And can you help me, Amy? Is there any other questions?
You want me to look over your list?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look over your list.
I am not asked.
When you get over 40 and you wear glasses, you got to put them on your head to look up close.
I know.
Do you know? I had a guest on my podcast who said to me, probably 2 years ago, that he had like 6 pairs of reader glasses at home.
Wow.
And I laughed at him. I laughed at him, Jay.
How many do you have?
I got like 10, dude.
I have hard enough time keeping up with one pair of glasses.
So, funny story. Sorry. Yes, you asked all your questions, sweetheart. Funny story. I went to the eye doctor's just recently, and my eye doctor's like, "Oh, we have this $80,000 machine that can look at your eyes, so you don't have to have the puff of it. You don't have to have your eyes dilated anymore." Perfect. He's like, "Oh, see, you need a computer. You need a computer screen prescription." And I looked at him like, "Computer screen?" He goes, "Yeah, formerly known as readers." And I said, "Oh, okay, that's interesting," because I have them in the other room, and I never think to even bring them with me. I look at the newspaper, I faithfully read the Herald every week, just to kind of keep on top of things that are going on in the community.
That's awesome that she does that.
I do too.
But I have to have those glasses on because I can't see. But it's hard when you have to take your glasses off because you can't see way over there, but you can see way up here.
Sure.
So I inadvertently am like putting them on my head so I can read close.
Yes. So one of my sponsors is Optical Expressions, and they just made 2 pairs of glasses for me.
Oh, nice.
One for driving at night, mostly at night, watching the movies, all that. And then the other one for when I'm in the studio.
Nice.
So.
How much does it cost to be a sponsor?
Did you know it was coming? You had to know.
No. But let me tell you this. We're right up around 30 sponsors, which is really exciting for us. We love the fact that we have sponsors that we advertise with and for. We have a great relationship with them. We've done nothing but grown, and it's very humbling to think that we have so many businesses that entrust us into promoting their goods, their services with our audience, which is growing too. My goal has always been 10,000 followers or subscribers, and we're almost at 7,000.
Wow.
But when I first started this, I would have, I don't know, 100 and change.
Wow.
And now it's almost at 7,000. So we're growing. But you got to keep the edge sharp if you want to grow, bud.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
You got to, sometimes you got to talk about things that are a little controversial maybe. So, and sometimes a little bit out of your comfort zone. Are you done asking me questions?
Yes.
Can I ask you one?
Yes.
So I know what CP is. Well, at least I think I do, but I don't know much about it.
Yeah.
Okay. And I would love to learn more about that. And I'm wondering if you have any plans or intentions of discussing cerebral palsy.
I would love.
And or any other abilities or whatever people call them, disabilities, whatever the heck.
I would love to. And you brought up a good thing that you say you like touch on controversial things. Well, there's no fake word for disability. Call a duck a duck. Disability is not a swear word or
it's not a bad thing.
Not a bad word.
Right. Brendan would tell you that's not a bad word, but the hard R word is a bad word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brendan doesn't like that word. A lot of people don't like that word when you're disabled. So that's one of the words that we stay away from with anything, with anybody that talks that way or is that way. We don't talk about that.
I mean, let me just be honest with you. If you had an episode or a series of episodes on Thinking Out Loud that was just about what it's like to be born with cerebral palsy, how far back can you remember? What was it like as a toddler going forward all the way up to current day, and how that's affect you negatively or positively, socially and otherwise? I would be fascinated with that.
I would
frankly, if I heard you talking about something like that, that would be, sometimes we call them driveway episodes or parking lot episodes, where you pull into a parking lot and you don't want to get out of your car, or you pull into your driveway and you don't want to get out of your car because you're that interested in hearing. For me, if you did an episode about that, that would be a driveway episode for me.
We had plans to do both with Brendan and Jay, and then Jay just asked me this morning, what did you ask me this morning to do for an episode? Do you remember?
No.
So this month is domestic violence month, and Jay knows that I've been through that. So he asked if I would consider doing something for that as well. And that, sometimes that's a nice thing to kind of touch on, and sometimes it's a hard thing.
Yeah.
So we know that but Jay, I've never seen Jay in a bad mood.
Right. Not interesting.
His mother tells me he gets in bad moods all the time.
Oh, no, she does not.
No, she doesn't say that. Does she? No. Jay has very much always been a very, very positive person.
Yeah.
And in fact, when I was really sick with COVID, probably the beginning of this year, I was really sick. He offered to go to Shaw's and get me groceries.
Yeah.
He offered to do whatever he could to possibly help me. And we have had a really strong friendship for the last few years.
Because I know you would do the same for us.
You're right. Exactly. And that's, I think you're right. Those heartfelt stories really, really hit home. I know for me,
well, it's relatability.
It is relatability. Have you guys heard of Delilah?
Yes.
Delilah is pretty amazing. I really like her, but
what a story she's got.
The stories that she tells, and the people that call in on her show that need some sort of guidance or just a hi, how are you? That that they haven't had that in a long time. A virtual hug, something like that. I find myself a lot of times in the car at night and then sit in my driveway because I'm listening to the story that she's telling.
Yeah.
So you definitely need, we definitely need to do that, and maybe that could be, somewhat of what we do in December, because we're struggling to do December. So
it's super transparency, so you got to think about, I would map that out a little bit, plan that out, map it out on paper about timeline stuff and maybe some great things that have happened to you where CP has been part of the picture, and maybe frankly, some not so great things that have happened to you that you remember or carry with you as a result of having CP. But just remember, there's a lot of people out there who don't have cerebral palsy who might be curious to know what it's like.
Right. Funny you mentioned cerebral palsy and stuff. One of my brainstorm ideas right before you got here was to see, I know March is Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month.
March, okay.
And I was thinking of Googling or whatnot what Awareness Month every month is and try to tackle it.
And I think also, like, even if we wanted to wait till March to do your episode, to do an episode with you, we could also be researching like what other famous people have CP and what they've done, as far as different things that they've done in their life to kind of combat that too.
Well, Zachary Hughes.
I saw his episode, but I don't think I know him.
Did you see his episode with me?
Yes.
Okay. So, there's a guy that absolutely has refused to allow his CP to get in the way of anything. The guy is like almost, some would say, stubborn. He would not allow anything to alter his life.
Right.
And he's done an incredible job.
Well, I think the biggest thing I've always admired about Jay is just that his persistence to just be who he is.
Yeah.
And like many times, I don't know if he's done it recently, but he used to walk into town, and he lives a bit of a distance away from town.
Mm-hmm.
But he would walk and take his time and talk to whomever he was next to.
Yeah, you're not shy.
He is. Everybody in town, I think almost everybody in town knows who he is. And Duncan has his order down pat.
Yeah.
His cream with a little bit of coffee.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Really?
Wait. How many creams do you take in your coffee?
I just say 10, but
10.
I like.
So one of the things is you don't drive,
right?
So you're on foot,
right? He takes the bus a lot.
Tri-Valley Transit is an amazing company.
I have heard you say that so many times over the many years that I've known you. You should definitely interview them at some point.
They're on our list.
And get involved with anything that's going on in Randolph or surrounding communities, anything that helps the community, jump on. And these little things clipped right here are very powerful things. Yeah. And if there's something that's great that's going on, remember, there's only so many people that know about it and are experiencing it. But if you come into the picture and bring a camera and a microphone, now that audience is gonna double or triple or more.
Whenever I see like your local, I don't know if you or Raylene posts on your Facebook. Whenever I see someone post on your Facebook about a local business, I try to share it on the Thinking Out Loud page as well.
Yeah, we've been both doing some PR stuff, which is good. I mean, the whole farmers market was Jay's idea. Jay's like, "Hey, it's the last farmers market. We need to be there."
Dude,
what are you doing?
That's great, Jay.
It's totally impulsive, spur of the moment, and
it was great.
And I like that stuff. He's very witty when it comes to that. It's very nice having him as a working partner.
My only advice to you is don't let Amy drive all the time. Take the wheel, grab the wheel from her. Yeah. And literally or figuratively? Figuratively. You drive the bus, buddy. I mean, she asks great questions, no doubt. But you get right in there, pal.
Thank you.
Get right in there and do it. I know you're not afraid.
No. So again, we're with JD from Aired Out. Smash that like button for Aired Out.
That's right.
Right?
I love your hair, buddy.
I love
and the hat. I mean, it's
tie-dye vibe.
My good friend Cheryl Spring made this
really
for me.
So what do you want to do with me? Do you want to come on in March, or do you want to come on before then?
Both.
Okay.
Up to you.
Okay.
He wants to come on both.
Done.
Up to you.
All right.
Do you want to take us out for today?
Or me or him.
Either one of you.
Why don't you
want to sign us off?
What? Listen. I think that if there's businesses or anyone that's watching or listening that wants to support Jay and this endeavor, which I think I kind of get a feeling that it's not going to be a flash in the pan. I think you're going to be doing this for a while because it's kind of who you are naturally. Yeah. I think that you should think about maybe supporting Jay in whatever way that you can. You'll get a sponsor mention. Mm. But whether it's, more equipment or, some microphones or something. You always need more, buddy.
Yes.
I mean, so reach out to Jay and Amy and say, hey, we like what you're doing. Nobody else is doing it in Randolph. You guys are it. So let's help them out. Whatever we can do. Maybe get somebody to print up some hats for you or some T-shirts, and maybe throw a little bit of money at you to help promote. Get a nice logo designed, and just pace yourself, bud, through the winter. Have a goal for next summer of what you want your audience to be size-wise and what you want to do.
All right.
And I just want to throw our email out there too, because we have a new email that Jay and I both helped set up. It's thinkingoutloud12324@gmail.com. And you can message us there for any of your wants or needs through our podcast. If you want to be on, or you know somebody that should be on, want to nominate somebody that needs to be on, want to talk to Jay, want to talk to B-Man, want to talk to me, whatever.
That's the way to do it. And share this episode. Yeah. Give it a like, give it a share, drop a comment. Right.
Does Aired Out have an email they can share?
The best way to get in touch with us is right on the Aired Out Facebook page, usually through Messenger. But we've got our emails listed right there as well. But we get more people that reach out to us through Messenger on Aired Out.
All right.
Or directly to me on Facebook Messenger.
And that's where they can find us too on Messenger, is Thinking Out Loud on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
This will be aired. So.
Share this so that more people know about it. Give them a like, follow, drop a comment. They need more of it. And this guy's kicking ass right here.
This guy, same here, this guy kicks ass as well.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.